Hey beauty, welcome back. It's Talk and Tap, and we're looking at how to reduce our stress and how to calm our minds and actually even lessen physical pain to deal with all sorts of issues in our life. And if you're not familiar with it, please refer to more of my videos on YouTube and also my website, sandyevenson.com. There's free videos there for you to download so you can learn more. And of course, my book, The Woo Woo Way, Unblock Your Chakras, Transform Your Life. And I point that out right away because it was my uh, pleasure, privilege, and real effort to bring you the easiest way to learn this technique and to learn through stories of my own life and from my clients, and to see how we are never alone in these times of stress. But we all have it, and we all have different scenarios, but we all kind of funnel right down into some real basic things around why this happens to us. It happens to us because of our life, because of how we came into this world and who raised us and who taught us and how society affected us. And we made certain decisions and took on beliefs because of all of that. And so we can actually get triggered into a stress response quite easily because of that little bit of us, we might even call our inner child or our small one, who has taken on everything and held on to it for us. Unfortunately, the body keeps the score. That's the title of an amazing book that gives you a lot of the science side of energy medicine. The body holds everything too. So what we find is that every kind of stress that we have in our lives from the very beginning, even in the womb, we bring with us throughout our lives. And we might be upset about something, but it's really not the thing that's doing it. It is an old memory kept within our brain with the hippocampus and the amygdala, where we are instantly brought into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses to something. And it's all a threat to us. And our brain doesn't really know the difference between reality and this memory of something in the past. And it might be actually a fear of what be coming at us, whether it's imagined or not. We can be fearing things and go right into that. So the idea of using tapping is actually quite effective. It's one of the most potent, if not the most potent, mind-body tools we can use to quickly reduce that stress, get out of that response, calm our nerves, and get back our clarity in our brain. Because what happens when we go into that brain shuts off. It is not able to think and be clear. We have all the thoughts going around in our head, but the energy has gone to our extremities, to our limbs, so that we can run or fight or find that place to hide. So just know that there's a lot of detail around it, but the actual process is so simple. It's first of all non-invasive, and it's self-induced. You just use your fingertips to go through it. And I can tell you what it's not. It is not a pseudoscience. It is legit based on neuroscience. There's so much information about it. There's been over 100 peer-reviewed studies, which I think they're way over that now, to actually show us the clinically proven evidence around the efficacy of tapping. It's used in so many different ways. Even the Veterans Administration has approved it for PTSD treatment, which, oh, wow, it's so powerful for that. So there are just so many reasons why we want to. I'm going to refer to some notes because I don't want you to miss this idea. and I'm trying to tell you what it's not first, the idea that it's really not science, it's just this woo-woo thing. And even though I use that in the title of my book, The Woo-Woo Way, that was on purpose because of the people who thought that's what it was that I was doing and teaching and learning. So it was meant to do that. But the idea is it actually comes from the same ancient concepts as acupuncture and acupressure, which dates back way before Western medicine. There was even a frozen body they named Etsy. I think it might be spelled with an O and two dots, but Etsy was mummified in the Arctic, I believe. And when they studied his body, they found that there were these tattoos in significant places on his body and maybe his face. I haven't studied this, and there were indentations where these tattoos are on the corpse. And they found a tool that had been honed down to a point, like a piece of wood that was really honed down. And they realized that obviously the tools were used on these acupressure points to help relieve pain. It looked like, I guess, he had osteoarthritis and other issues that they could see because of the mummification of the body and in the bones. But I just want you to know it's been around, it's ancient, but EFT takes all of that and combines it with the modern psychology and things that we know today. In fact, I'm immersed in an advanced program right now, learning from a psychotherapist and an EFT master, and they've brought all of that together in one place. And I got to tell you, I've been really excited because I've discovered that I was already using a lot of these techniques without knowing it. I just now have a little bit more structure and some names to things, but back to talking about this mind-body healing modality that is called the emotional freedom technique, or EFT tapping. We call it tapping because we literally tap with our fingertips on these points on our face and our body. And even though we may feel it's ridiculous and it's crazy, it works, and it works so powerfully. I cannot tell you, even without words, which with words, it's like 10 times more effective when you're really trying to move some negative emotion, but it will work without words as well. I don't want to ramble too much, but one of the things it does is bring our body back into balance. When we're up in our head and we're spinning in thoughts, where the cortisol and the adrenaline are going, and it just releases calming hormones to bring us back into that balance, to feel calm and safe and secure in the moment. So going from really being frightened or have anxiety and not even realize that we don't feel safe, we come down into a little bit more relaxed state, this calming and slowing of the brain waves so that you can actually be relaxed into alpha. Because when we're spinning in our head and we're really stressed out, we are in beta. And this literally just brings us back down into alpha. If you've studied any of those waves that you can listen to in sound, alpha is that relaxing state. So when we're there, we can make decisions, we can be creative, and we can get into finding solutions, get our intuition going, be resourceful, and it's quick and it's fast, and we can be there. So we can move right into that whole relaxation of cortisol and adrenaline. Because when the mind is in beta, it just shifts that way, and we just keep going, and we just a few taps on the body. I mean, literally within 10 to 90 seconds, you're bringing that down. It's so powerful. And there's, excuse me, there's more to it because EFT actually improves our immune function. I saw this happen during COVID, and it's really powerful. So it reduces that whole idea of being susceptible to infections and viruses and things. The immune function improves by 60%. That's huge. That's way more than medications and maybe vaccines and things can do. I don't want to get into that debate because I know how powerful those can be, but just understand that your own two fingers can do so much for you. Um, it reduces the chance of Alzheimer's because it helps to wash away the plaque that's building in the cells. It improves your happiness and your resilience. And it doesn't seem possible when we're in a lot of stress and it's an ongoing chronic thing, but it does help. It actually then reduces the chance of heart disease because it's lowering the blood pressure in the body. So, you're getting this eventual retraining of your mind, your nervous system, and your body and your responses. You can actually see this set point of stress reaction get lowered. Because if you get triggered into a 10, oh my God, it's panic, it's panic, it's panic. When you start to use tapping on a regular basis, even for 30 seconds to a minute, you are going to eventually bring that set point down so that you have less reaction, less quickly, and you recover faster. It's one of those really amazing ways of rewiring, getting into new ways of thinking and feeling and behaving. And, it helps you to process trauma, which is what us coaches are all about most of the time, because we realize that we have all had trauma in our lives. And, I label it, many of us label it as little T traumas and big T traumas. But throughout our lives, we do have them and they sort of sandwich on top of one another. They build up and we keep pushing them down because we've got too much to deal with and we don't want to go there and try to work with it. But we will react to things quite quickly because it's there. So even you might have a real trepidation around public speaking, whether it's in video and on Zoom like this, or on a stage in front of a small group or a big one. You might really have some work to do there. And I know that tapping really helps with that. But if you have that somewhere back when you were in school at some point, many of us were probably around the third grade. And we had trouble with something. We struggled with something in school. Something happened, spelling or math, reading, and we got embarrassed. We may have been ridiculed or laughed at, or even, um, strictly ridiculed by a teacher or our parents because, something happened there. But that state, we might not even remember it, or we have a slight remembrance of it, but we don't realize that that gets triggered every time we look at being present in front of people. That little one is still there, frightened for us, and reacts because it wants to protect us from being hurt again. And there's so much behind that I teach. So just, bear with me for a moment, understand that we can process and release the connected trauma when we do this work. Now, a lot of it is done with someone when it's done properly through coaching. There's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of visualization, but the tapping will prevent or minimize re-traumatization because you begin to be an observer. You're not re-experiencing it, you're looking at it in a very, very safe way. So it's just allowing that brain to know, because it still, again, it doesn't get the fiction and the reality. It thinks it's real, whether we're imagining it or not. It's there. And one of the things I learned as a hairstylist, so, you'll hear me often go into my past. I'd spent 40 plus decades doing hair, cutting, designing, coloring, all of that. And one of the things I learned about was our reaction to things that we don't understand often. And so our olfactory nerves in our nose are the first ones to react. They're very, very sensitive. And so we might smell something and be triggered into a memory. It can be positive, can be good, or it can be really like, "Ugh, I hate that." And the example given was like, as a woman, you might be on an elevator, and you smell a man's aftershave, and you're immediately frightened. You push yourself as back as far as you can against that, maybe even into the corner of that elevator. And it doesn't matter if it's the two of you or many, you see that as something else. Well, that happens because you or another woman I might be describing had an issue with a man with that aftershave, perhaps even as a child, and it triggers right back to that. So just know that these things can come up. And I was behind the chair in the salon, and we had this beautiful product that was a combination of conditioner and setting gel. So it was a mild setting cream, and it had this wonderful scent that I loved. It had a bit of that Old Spice scent, and I know some of you don't like that, some of you love it, but I loved it because my dad wore that, right? Well, I had been trained and I was practiced in putting products in my hand, putting it in front of the guest and letting them see it and smell it and see how much I was using. And for some reason, I skipped that part one day and started to apply it in this woman's hair. She was a young woman. And she said, oh my God, I don't hate that. I hate that. I went, oh, oh. She said, that reminds me of my father. I hate my father. Get it off, get it off. Oh my word. Now I'm triggered into something, but we rushed back to the shampoo bowl and we rinsed that out. I ran a little more shampoo through again to make sure it was gone. But it was such a powerful reminder about things in our past that can trigger us. Had I known this tool, I could have helped her in that very moment by just having her tap on her heart and her collarbone, for instance, to help calm her. So know that that's where I'm going with this. Know that every time I come visit you in this venue, in a video, um, which, by the way, is probably just going to come through YouTube instead of live, but just know every time I'm going to take you through tapping so that you can understand how it works for you. Know that even if we're tapping on a subject that doesn't ring true for you, you can substitute the words you need on the feelings, but also know that when you tap for someone else, if I have someone else with me, we're tapping on their issue, when you tap them, it works for you too. I write about that in my book too. In that first chapter, there's a lot there about how that worked for me. It actually brought me money. Like, yes, you can tap around money. I'm a certified tapping into wealth coach. I'm a certified tapping for weight loss coach. Getting certified in the rapid imprint resolution method, which is what I was talking about earlier. Um, uh, Also in intuitive chakra transformation. I've been a glutton for a lot of training just because I wanted to know more and how I could navigate with you through any issue that you have. So reach out if you want me to focus on one thing during these videos and during the tapping, or you'd like to get in touch with me. So let's take these last few minutes and do some tapping. So take a breath and just kind of sink down into your body. Let go of the busy mind for just a moment. Imagine that you can drift down And let your mind slide on down into your body. And just think over the last week, what's been the primary issue, the primary emotion that's come up for you? That's kind of keeps repeating itself. And, it can be something like sadness or grief or loneliness or um, feeling guilty about something, feeling disappointed, getting angry, anxiety, eh, frustration, excuse me, fear. There's so much more. There can be that critical voice in you that keeps repeating over and over again, that inner critic that, is telling you that you could have, should have done something, or maybe you shouldn't have, or there can be a side to it that's more like blaming and pointing your fingers because, oh, they did that to me. And why did he say that to me? Oh my God, I blame them. And there's also that inward, I'm just not good enough. I'm not young enough, thin enough, knowledgeable enough of anything. So just think about what's going on in your life. What is it, just like a anxiety and a stress and a worry about everything going on? Because we've got a lot going on now, ever since COVID, especially, but in our environment and our weather, our climate, politics, the wars, um, finances, and thinking about your health, your wellness, or your weight, thinking about uh, everything in your money and finances, thinking about relationships. Where are they going? Are they good and loving and supportive? You need some help there. So just think about what's on your mind and bring it to your mind. And I'm just going to call it this situation right now. So think about the situation, circumstances, this issue, and search your body for where that lands when you get triggered about it and you're thinking about it a lot and it just upsets you. This thing upsets you. Where do you feel it in your body? Does your jaw tighten? Your chest start to pound with your heart, or you can't breathe very well? Does it feel like you got punched in the gut, or is it up in your solar plexus? An issue with your stomach, a headache at the front or the back of your head, a backache? Is it in your shoulder or your feet? Tingling, aching, some sort of uncomfortable feeling. Just note where that is and taking all that into consideration with how the pain or the unease, discomfort feels in your body and the level of emotion. As we think about it, it starts to ramp up. What's the number for you between 1 and 10? If 10 is at like the highest, like panic, like, oh my God, this is so horrendous. And of course, down at 1, you're just pretty calm about it. Where are you? Pick that number and just remember it or jot it down. And let's just start tapping for a minute or two. And I'm just going to have you use the side of your hand. I don't always start here, as you know, because sometimes if we're really ramped up, we dive right in. But let's just do this and talk about it. Oh, so I have this situation that really bothers me. And I'm just going to honor how I feel. There's something going on that's really bothering me, has me so upset. And I'm just going to express that. I'm feeling really frustrated and overwhelmed or anxious. Maybe I'm sad or mad, but I just have these feelings. And I'm just going to let myself express those feelings and voice them. So let's go through tapping through the points. You can follow along. And remember, you can go get a free download or go to the YouTube videos that show you how. So tapping at the eyebrow, all this emotion, so much emotion, and this pain in my body, this discomfort. I have this overwhelming situation that takes over my mind. And it's really hard to let it go. My mind keeps racing. My heart beats faster. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, just can't catch my breath. Or my head pounds, or my back aches, my stomach churns, my gut roils. It's all too much. It's just overwhelming. I'm just going to accept how I feel. There's so much going on in the world that causes me worry, that tightens me up, that constricts my muscles, and doesn't help me think. So I'm open to letting that go in this moment, just for me right now, letting it go. And I'm going to honor how I feel. Of course, I would feel this way. There's a lot going on. I'm just going to honor that today. And just take a breath. And if you feel that shift, if you felt it, then you can just relax and tap a little more without any words. If you still feel a little ramped up, keep going, either one point like this or all the way around. Just keep going. But you'll feel a bit of a shift somehow in your body. I've explained that before. And let it go. I hope you'll return for more, because I'll spend more time in the tapping mode and less in the explanation mode. But I just thought I'd give that to you today. Please reach out. Tell me what's going on for you. What would you like to work on that's happening in your life that maybe you just really would like to ease in some way? And let me know if this has been helpful, or if it feels like a hill of beans and you need some more help. I appreciate you. I see your light and your beauty and your brilliance. Shine brightly.